Joe Samaniego here. Wanted to invite you to go check out Publis. Publis is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out Publis.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grid Live Wrap-Up. Joe Samaniego here, along with Ben Schneider, Adam Lemeries, and Kobe Landis from the Podium Finish. We invite everyone to participate in the chat room. Of course, we'd love to answer your questions, hear your comments, and we put out a poll on our YouTube chat. Should Atlanta Motor Speedway be reconfigured? Of course, that was the big story entering the weekend, and this morning, it was the big story before the race as well. Of course, as we all know, Atlanta's going to be reconfigured to have 28 degrees banking, 40 feet of racing compared to 55, and drivers voiced their frustration over the proposed changes this morning and no feedback from them on the repave and the reconfiguration. Jeff Gluck tweeted he cannot recall a time the drivers were so outspoken about this. So a lot of heat coming into this. And, of course, a lot of people were still talking about it. I found it ironic how they're showing clips, talking about how the drivers love coming here, and we know what's going to happen next year. Now, Ben, yesterday I was allowed the opportunity to discuss about this. I know Kobe, Adam talked about this on Wednesday. What is your opinion on this reconfiguration of Atlanta Motor Speedway?
Well, you know what, despite what people on Twitter might be saying about maybe trying to get 5 more years out of the Atlanta surface, I said it, when we came here earlier in the season, it's time. The stoppage, the red flag today is only further proof of that. If you're wishful thinking is really the only thing that could keep somebody, still on the side of we should go 1 more year or whatever. So the repave has to happen. That's you can't debate that anymore at this point. The reconfiguration is where I have the problem. And, for me, it's not even so much the fact that they're reconfiguring it. I don't think that, this proposed layout is necessarily the best idea. I think if you were going to reconfigure it, maybe go back to the layout that gave us the epic title battle in 1992, and older fans certainly know and love. But I think that the bigger problem for me is the fact that the executives in the suits at NASCAR made this decision without consulting the drivers first and the teams first. And they're ultimately the ones that have the insight of racing on the track, racing at all the tracks that NASCAR goes to. And, I think maybe 1 or 2 of them said they were approached, but not even, the topic wasn't even discussed with them. That just kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth. If you're going to make a change so drastic, you would think you would want input from some of the most important people in the industry. And, I think in hindsight, I remember they were talking 4 years ago that the repave was a done deal, and the drivers begged them to try to squeeze a few more years out of it. In hindsight, it probably would have been better if they had gone ahead and repaved it, because you spend all that time and effort repaving the track, you're probably not going to tear it all up just to reconfigure it 3 or 4 years later. We're probably not having this conversation right now. So I guess it's another saying of be careful what you wish for. But I think NASCAR's really put themselves in a difficult situation here, because like Jeff Gluck said, I've never seen a time where the drivers seemed this unified in how outspoken they were. You always have your characters like Kyle Busch or Brad Keselowski, drivers that have been around long enough that aren't afraid to speak their mind and voice their opinions. But so many drivers are coming out and saying that they're worried about the future of the track, and that the racing is not going to be as good. And the fact that nobody brought this up with them, told them that there was a possibility that this might be happening. That's concerning, and I was just talking to a friend earlier today. Obviously this is just one of many issues that NASCAR has, or one of many controversies, I guess you could say, that NASCAR's found themselves in recent years, with the package probably being the one we talk about most often on a weekly basis. I feel like we're seeing some eerily similar, quotes and behavior and languages that American open wheel racing saw in the 90s. And obviously, we all know that led to the kart IRL split. Everybody thought kart was too big to fail. They say NASCAR is too big to fail. Again, I'd be careful what we say when it comes to that, because I'm really concerned to see how many drivers are speaking out about this. I think NASCAR, the controversy with the next gen car. I know we got to wrap it up here and keep the show going. But I could keep going on about this. It's I don't know. I think they're in a very difficult situation here, and you have a controversy with this reconfiguration. It certainly isn't going to help that. But let's get into the NASCAR news and highlights from this weekend. And flashing back a little bit, before we started the 2021 season, we discussed on Grid Tonight about NASCAR needing a leader among the drivers in the garage. Jimmy Johnson was kind of seen as that leader in recent years. Now he's retired from NASCAR competition, doing things over in IndyCar now. And it doesn't appear that any driver has emerged as that leader, especially with this news. You're hearing things from all sorts of different directions from all sorts of different drivers. So, Kobe, Adam, this is my first question to you. After today, do you think the relationship between drivers, NASCAR, the tracks, and even teams is at a boiling point?
Definitely. I do think it's at a boiling point. And like you said, I do think we need to be concerned here. And also, like Brad Keselowski has said in the past, one day there might come a point where the best drivers no longer come to NASCAR. I'm afraid if NASCAR is doing things that make the drivers don't feel appreciated or don't feel like the sport is heading in the direction that most people want it to go in, I think it could definitely be a dire situation. And like the Kyle Larsons and Christopher Bells in the world who come from dirt racing, they might decide that it's not even worth going to NASCAR and then just stick to racing on dirt where it's fun. And also drivers who've had a lot of success racing super late models, they might decide that, well, drivers who are coming up through the ranks, they might decide that they'll have a lot more fun racing super late models than running NASCAR, especially if they continue heading into this direction. And it's just really crazy to see this happening, because like Jeff Gluck said, I can't recall a time where you see so many drivers unified on a certain stance, which they're clearly not a fan of the Atlanta repave and some among other things in the sport. And like you were saying, we've had like a Kyle Busch, a Brad Keselowski, and occasionally a Kevin Harvick. They'll say something that goes against the direction NASCAR is heading in every now and again. But most drivers, they keep quiet, or they sing NASCAR's praises. But with this certain issue, drivers are becoming more outspoken. They're saying was exactly on their mind, and I think that NASCAR really needs to sit down with them and listen, because if the relationship between them keeps deteriorating, I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
For me, what NASCAR needs is something like the NFL and the NBA has, a drivers association or an organization. So all the racetracks can sit down, all the heads of all these racetracks can sit down with the drivers, and so if they have something they want to do, they can all sit down together, come up with an idea, and hopefully make it happen. I've been watching NASCAR for a very long time. I started watching NASCAR racing in the 80s. And like everyone said, I've never seen this ever in all the years I've watched this sport. It is, it's very sad to see right now, but I hope and pray that something gets done really soon, because I don't like where the sport is going right now, even though I've watched for a long time. And I'll say it once and I'll say it again. What NASCAR needs is a drivers organization like the NFL and the NBA, and have a lead driver, to go and talk to all these owners of racetracks, to decide what they should do in the future. I don't know of a particular driver that could do it right now, but it needs to be done soon. It needs to be done ASAP.
Yeah, well, you bring up a good point, Adam, about something maybe similar to the Professional Drivers Association, the PDA for short, that we saw in the late 60s, which Richard Petty was the head of, and that only lasted a few months, led to a walkout at Talladega. And, if you want to hear that story, I guess you can just go watch Slapshoe's video, because we don't have time to go through all of that here and relive all that again. But obviously, that was a very different era over half a century ago. We're in a very different time now. So, who knows what's going to happen here as we ponder the future of the sport. So getting back to today's race at Atlanta, we had a red flag for a pothole on the track, which I think is proof that the repave at the very least needs to happen and is inevitable. I think for most people, it's the reconfiguration that goes along with the repave that has caused the controversy. But Kurt Busch jokingly asked the track for an old timer to win on the old surface, the last race on the old surface, and he got his wish. He battled his brother Kyle for the win. Kyle won yesterday's Xfinity race, of course, his 102nd career win, going 5 for 5 this season. He says it's his final start in the series, but he also said in his interview, never say never. I'm personally not convinced. I know some others probably aren't as well, but we'll see what the future holds for Kyle Busch. But Adam and Joe, were you surprised to see Chip Ganassi Racing and Kurt Busch win this race today?
Yes, I was very surprised to see that. I believe the last time someone other than Team Penske, Joe Gibbs, and Hendrick Motorsports won in the Cup Series, as far as I know, was Michael McDowell winning the Daytona 500. Because like we've talked about in the past on this show and other shows here on the Grit Network, has been Joe Gibbs Racing, Team Penske, and Hendrick Motorsports basically dominating all season long. So to see someone like Kurt Busch beat those guys, and after everything that Chip Ganassi has gone through regarding selling Trackhouse Racing, like we talked about a couple weeks ago on Grid Tonight with myself and Kobe, I was really happy to see Kurt Busch in victory lane because we don't know where he's going to race next year. He could be a teammate to Daniel Suarez at Trackhouse Racing, or who knows. But I was very happy to see Kurt Busch get into victory lane with Chip Ganassi Racing at Atlanta Motor Speedway earlier this afternoon.
Kurt Busch, his victory, I think, definitely has to be one of the big surprises of the year. That team, though, we've seen Ross Chastain, Kurt Busch, they've slowly been improving, getting better and better compared to where they were earlier in the year. And it seems this news has really united that team in just, hey, let's go out there. This is our last season together as Chip Ganassi Racing. I think one of the big things, and we'll talk a little bit later, I know, about Ross Chastain, he said they want to add banners to that championship. I think there's a sense of pride that we could do this at Chip Ganassi Racing. But definitely, if anybody had picked Kurt Busch, I saw something about the Vegas odd makers had him as a huge underdog, so somebody's going home really happy. To see Kurt Busch, strong race, all race long, that has to be really rejuvenating for Chip Ganassi Racing. And definitely, I think, puts everyone on notice that, hey, Kurt Busch, don't count him out just yet.
And another team we maybe shouldn't be counting out is Richard Childress Racing. Both their cars currently ahead of the cut line with Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick. Reddick is currently 16th in points, 96 above the cut line. But with just one more first-time winner in 2021, he will be on the outside looking in. So, Joe and Kobe, do you see another new winner or multiple new winners happening in the next 5 races?
With 5 races to go, I do see at least Denny Hamlin trying to get one of those race wins. We got a couple of road courses. Traditionally, I would say road courses are so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. I almost sense you're going to see Chase Elliott, Martin Truex, Kyle Larson, one of those 3 winning the next 2 road courses, which are Watkins Glen and Indianapolis road course. The other track, especially New Hampshire, that's a good opportunity for Denny Hamlin. So if I was Tyler Reddick, you got to go in each race really racing for the win, but get some of those points, because if Denny Hamlin or any other driver gets 1 win, now you're outside. And of course, if 2 drivers get in by wins, you're in bigger trouble. So definitely a lot of pressure on Richard Childress Racing and Tyler Reddick.
I do think we'll see some repeat winners and during this final stretch before the playoffs start, but I do think that we could have a possibility of having at least two new winners potentially because you got Indianapolis, the road course, which is a new track for the NASCAR Cup Series, and I think somebody like the hometown guy Chase Briscoe, the rookie, could go out there and win and earn a spot in the playoffs. I believe he won the Xfinity race there last year, and he ran really well at Road America last weekend. So I think Chase Briscoe could potentially be a wild card spoiler to win at the Indy Road Course and then Daytona, the regular season finale. It's really anybody's game, to be honest. Anybody can go out there to win. And you mentioned it, Ben. Looking at the points, Tyler Reddick 16 points, almost 100 points above the cut line. Everybody 17th and below. I think trying to point your way in is definitely over. You have to win a race, and I think for those drivers 17 and down, Daytona is going to be a great opportunity for them to become a new winner and solidify their spot in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think especially with Daytona coming up, you're probably going to see at least one new winner. Denny Hamlin's been strong all year. It's funny with the point system that we have right now. We know it's going to be reset. We haven't really talked about the fact that he's right up there with Kyle Larson in terms of total number of points. You got to think him or maybe somebody like a Kevin Harvick could get into victory lane. And then, of course, Daytona, like you said, Kobe, anybody's guess when you go to a super speedway.
And there was a lot of post-race discussion about Ross Chastain's role in the outcome of today's race. Post-race, Kyle Busch very critical of Ross Chastain, blaming him for costing him the win, and Kurt Busch sang Ross Chastain's praises. And Matt Weaver on Twitter after the race posted a video of Ross Chastain sent one team. And here's my question to you. Did Ross Chastain do anything wrong to heavily influence the race outcome, or is that's just racing?
Well, he didn't do anything illegal. If you want to say that, it was ethically wrong, then maybe you have an argument there. I will say, though, that it's literally the exact same thing that Joey Logano did to Kyle Larson when we came here earlier this year at Atlanta that allowed Ryan Blaney to get the win, his teammate. Now Ross Chastain helping his teammate Kurt Busch get the win. I guess it's probably because Logano's not as popular of a driver as Chastain among the general public, or at least on social media. But I think if you're going to argue one way or the other, I would hope you would at least be consistent. That's just one of those racing deals to me. I don't think Ross Chastain crossed the line. Winning is everything in this system, and Kurt Busch is now in the playoffs. I don't think he can complain about that too much. I understand Kyle Busch being upset. Obviously, he's one of the fiercest competitors in NASCAR. But looking at it from a neutral standpoint, I don't really think he did anything wrong there.
I have to agree. I don't think Ross Chastain did anything wrong when it comes to racing. We've seen time and time again, when you're coming to lap a teammate of somebody that's chasing you, you're going to make it just a little harder. Of course, anybody going one lap down, you're going to be fighting hard to stay on that lead lap. Ross Chastain, he's racing, trying to stay up there. It's been a while since he had a rough day like he did today. As he kept saying, hey, Kurt Busch wanted that bottom line. You just gave him the bottom line. He went up top. Big thing is, as he kept talking about Chip Ganassi Racing, it's one team trying to get those banners for wins and just end the season in a good note, considering it's the last season for Chip Ganassi Racing. Bottom line, I don't see anything Ross Chastain did was wrong with what he did. We see in motorsports, may not be the most popular, but that's just the way it goes. At least we didn't see anything like team motors that you do see in other motorsports.
Yeah, I also agree with you. I don't think Ross Chastain did anything wrong at all. This was one of those racing deals. Unfortunately for Kyle Busch, he was on the wrong side of that deal, and Kurt Busch won the race. And it was a really good day for Chip Ganassi Racing. And on to this weekend's edition of the Formula E Spinning Wheel of Destiny. It landed on Max Gunther in race 1 and Sam Bird in race 2. Yesterday, Max Gunther took advantage of Jean-Eric Vergne and Nick Cassidy getting tangled up for the lead in race 1. Today, Sam Bird dominated for Jaguar and led every single lap en route to victory. Sam Bird went from 13th in the points on Saturday morning to being the points leader on Sunday afternoon. And it's really insane how quickly things can change over in Formula E, and every driver is still mathematically eligible for the championship with 4 races to go. And this is the latest Bird has led the points in the season. Is Sam Bird destined for the championship, or will the Wheel of Destiny land on someone else next time around in London?
Well, for me, I think it's a Wheel of Destiny. I really do, because when it comes to writing a pick winner, I don't think I've gotten any of my Formula E picks right. So I know I didn't get any of them right this weekend in New York City, but I think it's Wheel of Destiny, and I think we know that. I think anything we could have a different. I mean, we all know Sandberg's in the lead right now, Formula E. We don't know what's going to happen when the series heads to London, around the streets of that fabulous city. We could be talking about somebody else in the lead in the drivers' championship. So I'm looking forward to the last few races of Formula E, because it could go down to the last race in Berlin. You could have 5-6 drivers contending for the championship, and maybe it's a driver that nobody is expecting to win the championship, go out and shocks the field and win.
Yeah, first of all, how about Max Gunther and Andretti, and then Andretti in particular getting to hear the American national anthem on home soil in New York City. A special day for them, and a special day for Sam Bird as well. You know, I was actually in New York to see him win the first 2 races ever there. So fun to see him reclaim the lead of a driver's championship. And, you know, to answer the question, given how far back he was going into this weekend, and the fact that he's back at the top of the standings, I think that's just proof that things can change so quickly in Formula E. You know, it definitely seems like, you know, it's kind of like, I guess, the super speedway racing you see in NASCAR. You know, you never know who's going to win, who's going to come out on top. I think there's certainly a lot of drivers and teams that still have a chance of a championship. Sam Bird is definitely one of them, but, you know, I don't think he's even close to, you know, walking away and pocketing it yet.
And Eduardo Mortara exits Saturday's race with the points lead. Jean-Eric Vergne in the top 3 in points did not finish inside the top 10 to score points, which is really crazy. Eduardo Mortara was climbing up the running order today, but an over-aggressive move put him in the back. Is this a missed opportunity by the team to coach Mortara to race smartly?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could say that. In hindsight's always 2020, but you know, like we just said, Formula E is such a competitive championship. You know, you need to put the pedal down 100% of the time. There's even attack mode to give you a little bit more than that, and fan boost as well. So I don't know. Like I said, you know, it's always easier to say that after the race, but with how competitive this series is, how quickly things change, I think you have to be going for it and aggressive all the time in Formula E.
Formula E, you got to be aggressive all the time. Montara, he was climbing up. Yes, the crew could have told, hey, Vergne's out of the race. You're getting close to the top 10. Race smartly. But here's the thing. Even if you did finish 10th place, 9th place, 8th place, he's still 9 points behind Sam Bird. So no matter what, he would have lost the points lead. He's only 9 points out of the points lead. That's not a big deal considering 25 points if you win a race, and if you get the fastest lap, pole, and fastest lap in qualifying, that's 30 points available. So still very much in the thick of the championship. The big thing now, that team, Martora, considering a lot of people didn't anticipate them to be in this situation this late in the season, just regroup, refocus, and go out there, run your own race.
And the next time Formula E is going to be on a track is July 24th and 25th in London, and it's a brand new track for Formula E, and it's so unique because a part of the track is outside and the other part is indoors. So surely there's going to be a lot of attention on the brand new Formula E circuit in London, and the new track, and it's a perfect opportunity for everyone to capitalize, and they won't have a notebook from previous races. So Formula E would probably be even more competitive than what we've seen lately. 4 races remain in the season, 2 races in London and 2 in Berlin. 25 points for the win, 3 points for the pole, 1 for the fastest lap, 1 championship on the line. Now another championship that's coming down to 1 race is the Camping World SRX Series. And last night on CBS in primetime, the race 5 out of 6 SRX race at Slinger Speedway. 17-year-old Luke Fenhouse started the final lap with a comfortable lead, and he battled Tony Stewart side by side for the lead for most of the race. However, Haley Deegan and Paul Tracy got together, causing a multi-car wreck. And then we had a late race restart, and Marco Andretti was able to take the win. And after such an impressive showing from Marco, and especially with the recent news that he's looking to put together a deal to run some NASCAR Xfinity Series races later this season, do you think he could find success in stock car racing in this new chapter of his career?
I believe so. But before I go any further, I got to give a special shout out to Luke Finhouse. He did an awesome job last night. I truly thought he was going to win, but I could see Marco Andretti in NASCAR, at least in the Xfinity Series. Take a look what Santino Ferrucci is doing right now. He's competing in the NTT IndyCar Series with select races in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So, can it be done? Sure. How competitive do I think Marco Andretti would be? I think he'd be competitive. I don't think he would contend for any wins or anything, but top fives, top tens. And also, if Marco Andretti does get into NASCAR, we all can remember what Mario Andretti did, because he, even though he won the Daytona 500, it would still be cool to see somebody like Marco Andretti competing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series down the road.
Yeah, I think it'd be huge for NASCAR to have the Andretti name in their series again, even if it is just the Xfinity Series. And and a big part of it would be the equipment. What kind of ride would he be getting? If it's something like Junior Motorsports, we know got to send our best wishes to Michael Annett. I know he's out right now, and certainly hope to see him back as soon as we can. But if he gets an opportunity to come sub in the one car, that's obviously a team that knows how to go out and win races, and the sky's the limit. If it's a team, that's kind of a mid-pack equipment level, I think you've got to keep your expectations in check. But like I said, Marco, obviously the door seems to be closed in his full-time IndyCar career. SRX only goes on for one more week, so you've got to think he's looking for something to do. I think NASCAR Xfinity would be great for him.
Yes, and you bring up a good point, Ben, about level of equipment. If Marco's with a team that's always contending in the top 5, top 10, battling for wins, then definitely we could see great things from Marco Andretti in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But if he's with a mid-pack back market team, I don't think he would sign with a back market team. But if he's at least with a mid-pack team, I think we do have to be realistic with the expectations, because that car can only do so much. And also agree with your point about the Andretti name returning to NASCAR. I think that would be huge. And Marco Andretti would likely bring some more viewers to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and he's showing in SRX he's really enjoying this style of racing, doing well. And I'd really like to see what he could do in a NASCAR Xfinity Series car. And another driver who's actually looking for opportunities in the Xfinity Series is Sage Kara, Marco Andretti's buddy. And Sage Kara was actually at Slinger Speedway last night to see Marco Andretti win. Sage's father posted online that Sage has an opportunity to go Xfinity racing this year, but they're looking for sponsors at the moment so that can become a reality. And looking at the championship in SRX, mathematically, there are only 4 drivers who are eligible for the championship: Bobby Labonte, Elio Castroneves, Ernie Francis Jr., and points leader Tony Stewart, who leads by 30. In your opinion, who is the favorite entering Nashville?
Entering Nashville for the championship, I have to say Bobby Labonte. He has raced there in the Xfinity Series when it was the Busch Grand National Series. Elio Castroneves, I think he could easily be up there towards the front. I see Bobby Labonte still being the person to beat. Tony Stewart, he's going to be up there, no doubt. Bobby Labonte, though, I just think with his experience and Nashville, it's going to come back to him. He's going to go up there. I think he has to be one of the favorites.
I got to agree with you, Joe. I can remember when Bobby Labonte was racing in the Xfinity Series, back then called the Busch Grand National Series, and he is very, very competitive. And, I can't wait to see the SRX in Nashville. It's going to be an interesting race because, as we all know, it's going to be father versus son in the season finale. It's going to be an awesome race. And for me, I think it's either going to be Bobby Labonte or Tony Stewart to claim the inaugural Camping World SRX Championship next Saturday night at the Nashville Fairgrounds in Tennessee.
I'm really glad you brought up the father and son battle, Adam, because it's going to be a lot of fun next Saturday night at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway when we see Bill Elliott race against his son, reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion, Chase Elliott. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun watching Chase and Bill go out there and race each other for only the second time ever. And as far as favorites from those front four, I think Tony Stewart is definitely the favorite in Nashville. He has a comfortable 30-point lead at the moment, and I think he's going to be able to maintain that. In order for the other drivers, Francis Castroneves or Labonte, to take the championship from him, I think Tony Stewart would need to have the most miserable night he's ever experienced in SRX during the 6-week stretch. I think he would have to finish like last in Heat 1, last in Heat 2, and have something go terribly wrong in the feature race for him to lose his championship. I definitely think this is his championship to lose.
Bring up a good point with the way the point structure are. I believe it's 49 points to max if you were to win both heats and that feature. So definitely for Ernie Francis Jr. and everybody, they have to go out there, win heats and the race. Now, speaking about winning the race, Repco Supercars Series, we saw a driver get in the 50-win club this weekend, and that, of course, is Shane Van Gisbergen. This is his 10th race win of the year. He swept the Townsville 500 weekend, and last year, Scott McLaughlin, who of course got second in the grid ranking, 14 wins. He also holds an all-time record from a couple of years ago at 18 wins. Still, with 11 races left, do you see Shane Van Gisbergen passing the 14 or 18 win mark?
Oh, yeah. It is really doable because I actually got my pick a winner right this time for the second race at Townsville. But like I said yesterday on the pre-race show, Shane Van Gisbergen right now is on another planet. Jamie Whitcup tried his hardest to defeat him at Townsville. You know, in the second race, I truly thought Jamie Whitcup would win. But lo and behold, here came his Red Bull teammate, SVG. Last few laps, he got under Jamie and took the checkered flag. It's, for the rest of the Repco Supercars drivers, you're gonna have to go all out, have really good pissed off, and defeat those Red Bull, because right now it's Red Bull versus the rest of the field in the Repco Supercars Championship.
Yeah, I'll definitely defer to Adam on this one since he's the Supercars expert, and that's admittedly a series I don't know quite as much about, but I do know that SVG is having a season for the ages, and basic math tells me that 14 is definitely within reach. 18 might be a stretch, but if anybody can do it, it's certainly him with the season that he's having at this point in time. So I think both of them are definitely reachable. I think 14 is almost a lock if you look at how he's been running this year, and I wouldn't put 18 past him either.
18, that would be something else considering with so many races left, 11 total. Shane Van Gisbergen, he is just controlling the Supercar Series, controlling the championship, but he is still second in the grid ranking. Taking a look at the grid ranking top 10 right there, Shane Van Gisbergen, of course, closes to less than a full point behind Sebastian Ogier. Sebastian Ogier will be racing next weekend. Podium will almost secure the lead again. And Thierry Neuville Paddle War moved up since Chaz Mostert moved down. And here's the rest of the grid ranking for week 16. Of course, Kyle Larson also fell down after finishing outside the top 10 because of a late penalty at Atlanta Speedway. So definitely some shakeup. And of course, next week we got more racing when it comes to the grid ranking. Now, of course, overall, as we mentioned, Shane Van Gisbergen closing up on Sebastian Ogier. Sebastian Ogier, he has finished on the podium for 5 out of the 6 races in a World Rally Championship. Which driver is having the more dominant season? Is it Sebastian Ogier or Shane Van Gisbergen?
To be honest, Joe, I can't really say either or because both drivers are having such a dominant season. So I'm just going to say that Sebastian Ogier and SVG are tied in terms of dominance. Like, wow, I didn't even realize that Ogier had finished on the podium in the last 5 out of 6 races. That's really, really good. And we all know what SVG's been doing in the Supercars Series. He got on that win streak at the beginning of the season, then took a few races off. The drivers won, and now it seemed like he's back on that win streak again. So I think OJ and Van Gisbergen, they're even at the moment.
I have to agree with you, even though I am the supercars expert here on the show. But overall, I think it's a push between OJ and SVG. Both drivers are having really, really dominant seasons in their motorsports series they compete in. I didn't know that fact about OJ either, so I think he has a good shot to win the FIA World Rally Championship. And like I said yesterday on the show, Joey brought it up in the beginning of the year. I started picking Jamie Cup to win the Supercar Championship. But right now, my pick may not be so good because take a look what SVG is doing. So it's hard to say who's more dominant. I'm going to say it's a push.
Both of them are so dominant. It's just really amazing seeing what each of them are doing. OJ, of course, last year, he came into the final race second in the points leader, crashed out at Monza. He got the championship. A lot of people anticipate a closer championship, but Sebastian Ogier has just been dominant as others have been making mistakes, including Atalanta, Thierry Neuville, and Elfyn Evans, who had the points lead, had the grid ranking lead, goes out in the first stage less than 5 minutes into the race weekend. So definitely OJ running perfect. Same with Shane Van Gisbergen, both of them up in the top two. I think the two of them will be towards the top towards the end of the season. Now, next race weekend for the grid ranking, we have Formula One British Grand Prix, NASCAR Cup Series at the Magic Mile, New Hampshire, and World Rally Championship, Rally Estonia. Can Sebastian Ogier continue leading? And of course, we have two non-grid ranking series. We have SRX and the W Series as well.
Now it's time for our Grid One Shining Moment, where we all discuss a cool motorsports story that happened throughout the weekend. So, Joe, you're up. What's your Grid One Shining Moment?
The one shining moment, I have to say, Formula E, seeing and hearing the American National Anthem for Andretti Autosport winning at New York City. I think that was really huge. And then, of course, having Formula E on CBS, the broadcasting network, I think that was really big for the sport. And I think that could really go a long way.
And my great one shining moment this week is a 17-year-old winner of the Slinger Nationals, Luke Fenhaus. And originally, when Luke Fenhaus won the Slinger Nationals, he wasn't sure if he was going to accept the invite to race in the SRX race because he was competing in another late model championship across America. And Alan Bestwick on the broadcast said last night, at the time, Fenhaus, he was second in points in that championship. So if he missed the race, it would really hurt his chances of winning that championship. But however, we got the news that the race he was supposed to be at rained out. So Luke actually didn't lose any ground in that championship. And imagine if Luke had turned down the invite to race in SRX to go compete in his regular series and then to have it rained out and miss out on the opportunity to race on national stage. So I'm really happy that someone told him that you need to go race in SRX because I believe his performance last night going side by side against Tony Stewart, it seemed like the entire race at Slinger. I think that'll really put him on the map. And I don't think we've heard the last of Luke Fenhaus.
I'm going to stay in SRX, and, I guess it was Marco's year after all. Maybe not on the Indianapolis 500 stage, but so cool to see him get a victory in motorsports again, to see the Andretti name winning a race. That's always great for the sport, like I said earlier. And, kind of ironic. It reminded me of, the 2006 Indianapolis 500 when Marco was just a teenager. I felt bad for Luke Fenhaus. I thought he was going to win the race, and then the veteran, which was Sam Hornish Jr. 15 years ago, comes and steals the win. And the veteran's Marco now. So it's kind of funny how things come back full circle. Obviously, an SRX race at Slinger isn't the Indianapolis 500, but still cool to see Marco get that moment in the spotlight. And like we said, who knows? Maybe we'll see him in an Xfinity race or two this year.
Well, for me, since I'm a supercars expert, I'm going to go with a driver. that competes in one of the sport categories in the Dunlop Super 2/Super 3 series. His name is Brock Feeney. He drives for Triple-Eight Engineering. And what did he do in Townsville? He sat on the pole, dominated. He sat on the pole, he won both races, and he completely dominated. And as we all know, Jamie Whincup will not be driving for Triple-Eight next year. So who do I think has a good shot to take that spot? Why not Brock Feeney? After everything he's done, I believe he's in the overall points lead when it comes to the Dunlop Super 2/Super 3 series. I think he has a good shot to claim that seat that Jamie Whincup will vacate at the end of the year.
Yes, and we'll definitely be keeping up with Brock in the Super 2 series. See if he can continue this dominant form, and as you said, Adam, potentially put himself in the conversation to take over for Jamie Whincup, who's going to be retiring from Supercars at the end of the season. Unfortunately, we're out of time for tonight, and we want to remind you to be sure to invest in Grit Network. Visit our Patreon page. The link is in the video description. I want to give a big shout out to our wonderful Patreon supporters, Colin, Mark, and D-Shell, for supporting us. Thank you so much. And also a special thank you to our recent new subscribers on YouTube. Get your furry family member goodies from Pablos, our sponsor here. They have dog leashes, clothes, and accessories for dogs of all sizes. 10% of your purchase goes towards helping homeless, sick, and rescue dogs. And this week on the schedule, look for brand new episodes of Grit Tonight and the Women Racing to Win on Wednesday night and Thursday morning. And we'll be back next weekend for Grit Live pre-race on Saturday at noon Eastern and Grit Live wrap-up 90 minutes after the NASCAR Cup Series race at the Magic Mile. For Joe, Ben, and Adam, I'm Kobe from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching. Have a great week.
Joe Samaniego here. Want to invite you to go check out Pablos. Pablos is a dog clothing and accessory company based in Austria. 10% of each of your purchases goes to helping dogs in need, whether it's homeless, sick, or ill dogs. This is one of the reasons why we support it. Kiska here is a rescue dog from rural Alaska and our Grid office dog. We care about our furry buddies, and we know you do as well. Definitely check out pablos.com. There's a link on the video description, and by clicking on that link, you get a 10% discount on your purchase as well.